Welcome back to the Age of Unreason. I want to talk about Social Security. Why? Well, on Trump's campaign to be president, he promised multiple times, many times, not to cut Social Security. But Elon Musk, his billionaire butt buddy, made no such promises. So, what's some news that's going on? On Friday, this last Friday, his administration, Elon Musk, Doge, cut 7,000 jobs from the Social Security Administration. That represents a 14% drop in staffing in one day. They also have plans to cut and close 6 of the 10 regional Social Security offices across America. So Elon Musk was just on Joe Rogan and he called Social Security a Ponzi scheme. What's that? Ponzi scheme is an investment fraud that pays existing investors, retirees, with funds collected from new investors. Ponzi scheme organizers often promise to invest your money and generate high returns with little to no risk. But in many Ponzi schemes, the fraudsters do not invest the money, they embezzle it. That's not what's going on with Social Security. Why would he say that? Sounds like Elon Musk is making a case for waste and fraud, right? What does Doge do, the Department of Governmental Efficiency, when they find waste and fraud, right? They start deleting it. They start cutting it. You're seeing it all across our government. In 2024, Social Security paid out to 73 million Americans that are retired or disabled. Social Security was signed into law by Franklin Delano Roosevelt in 1935. So how did it come to be? So President Roosevelt in June of 1934 sent a message to Congress promising a social insurance plan. He created the Committee of Economic Security to study existing systems and design a new program. The CES completed its work and submitted a proposal to Congress in January of 1935. The bill was originally called the Economic Security Act, but changed to Social Security Act in legislative consideration. In 2023, for example, the payout totaled to beneficiaries 1.379 trillion. In 2023, that covered 67.1 million Americans, including 58.6 million from the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund, the OASI Trust Fund, and 8.5 million from the DI Trust Fund, the Disability Insurance Trust Fund, covering 8.5 million Americans. The total amount of Americans by 2024 on Social Security amounted to 71.6 million. So the DI Trust Fund was created in the Social Security Act amendments of 1956. The Disability Insurance Fund pays Social Security benefits to those who are mentally or physically incapable of gainful employment. Elon Musk and President Trump are using words like parasite and Ponzi scheme to describe wildly popular federal programs like Social Security. Yes, Elon Musk reposted a meme calling Americans who use federal programs the parasite class. Yes, the same Elon Musk who receives $8 million per day from the federal government. Yes, the same Elon Musk who owns 41% of Tesla, who since 2014, 33% of their profits have been made from tax credits, federal and state subsidies, loans from the Department of Energy, and more. So instead of discussing ways to fix Social Security, Elon, and therefore the Trump administration, is using words like Ponzi scheme and calling hardworking American taxpayers parasites. So what is the problem? Well, one, they're assholes, but what's the real problem? So over the years, the ratio of Social Security workers to retirees has significantly declined. So the people paying in versus how many people are receiving benefits, meaning there are fewer workers contributing to the system for each retiree receiving benefits. In the past, there were many more workers per retiree, but the ratio has steadily dropped due to factors like increased life expectancy and declining birth rates. Well, don't worry about that. RFK is going to bring down that life expectancy, but it's putting pressure on the system for sustainability. So in the early days of Social Security, there were significantly more workers per retiree, with some estimates showing a ratio of 42 workers to 1 retiree in 1940. I've heard also like 30 to 1, so somewhere in there, 30 to 40 to 1. The ratio now is currently like 3 workers paying in to 1 beneficiary that's retired. And the projected decline, experts think it'll actually get down to as bad as 2 to 1. So the OASI Trust Fund is expected to exhaust its surplus by 2033, which at that point, the revenue coming into the administration will only pay 79% of the projected payment obligations. So how is Social Security funded? Your paycheck, duh. But the OASI Trust Fund currently has a surplus of $2.788 trillion. So they have a bank account with $2.7 trillion in it. And anytime we don't have enough revenue coming in, we take money out of that trust fund, right? So the projected reserve depletion rate for the combined trust funds, the OASD and the DI trust fund, is 2035. But if it's just the OASI trust fund, it will pay till 2033, and then benefits will go down. The same year, but the DI trust fund is actually pretty stable. It's good for until 2100. So to give you some math and give you an example of kind of the economics of it recently. So in 2024, the total income the total revenue for Social Security was $1.35 trillion. However, we spent $1.392 trillion. So we had a deficit of $41 billion. Okay, so that's when we took $41 billion out of the trust fund and used it to make the payment obligations. So you can see that's the trust fund is depleting because we have a slight deficit that we're running. So what is the current maximum taxable earnings for Social Security? So people paying into it via income, what's the most they can get taxed at? Well, taxes stop at $176,100. We raise this amount yearly to keep pace with increases in average wages. For comparison, there is no maximum earnings amount for Medicare tax. So we put this rule on Social Security that you can only pay into it up until $176,100. After that, you don't pay one penny into it. So we've created a problem and we can solve it, right? Sorry, my camera fell, or my phone, you know what I mean. So anyways, that's a low amount. So for comparison, I'm just gonna pick this up, okay. So to give you an idea how it's changed over the years, right? In 1937, the yearly, you could be taxed up to $3,000. In 2025, it's $176,100, but back in 2020, it was $137,700. So you can see it changes. During 2023, an estimated 183 million Americans had earnings covered by Social Security and paid $1.33 trillion in payroll taxes. Employees pay about 6.2% contribution, and then employers pay another 6.2 contribution. So how does this get fixed? Provided these out-of-touch billionaire assholes don't try to delete our benefits. After all, Elon has called us parasites, and Doge is eliminating waste. Well, just 4 days ago, Senator Bernie Sanders and Senator Elizabeth Warren introduced the Social Security Expansion Act. As Donald Trump and the Republicans in Congress attempt to advance legislation to give massive tax breaks to billionaires and undermine the Social Security, U.S. Representative Val Hoyle from Oregon, along with Senator Bernie Sanders from Vermont and Elizabeth Warren from Mass, introduced the Social Security Expansion Act. This legislation would expand Social Security benefits by $2,400 a year to beneficiaries and ensure Social Security is fully funded for the next 75 years by applying a Social Security payroll tax on all income above $250,000. Importantly, this legislation would not raise taxes one penny for on people, on the 91% of households who make $250,000 or less. These estimates have been checked and analyzed by the Social Security Administration at request of Senator Sanders in 2023. So it's legit. Basically what would be changing, right? So instead of tapping out at $176,000, it actually add a list. So everyone making $250,000 or more would be paying into the Social Security, which they don't currently do. And the working class would not see any increase in taxes. So there is not one retirement age. The clock starts at 62 and the percentage increases every month past 62. For example, at 63 years and 8 months, it's increased from 70% at 62 to 78.3%. By 65, it's up to 86.1% of the benefit, and finally by 67, it's up to 100% of the benefit. So the longer you wait to go on retirement, the better benefit you get, right? Social Security is the most successful government programs we've ever had in the history of our country. For 86 years, through the good times, through the bad times, Social Security has paid out every benefit owed to every eligible American on time and without delay. Before 1935, when it was signed into law by Delano Roosevelt, about 50% of the nation's seniors lived in poverty, as did countless Americans with disabilities and surviving dependents of deceased workers. Nearly 90 years later, the senior poverty rate is down to 9.7%. And in 2023 alone, Social Security lifted 27.6 million Americans out of poverty. More than 19.5 of those are seniors. 19.5 million of those are seniors that didn't have to live in poverty because of this. Social Security is, despite its success, tens of millions of seniors are still struggling to get by, and many older workers fear they will never be able to retire with security and dignity. While the average Social Security benefit is $1,800 a month, nearly 40% of seniors rely on Social Security for a majority of their income. 1 in 7 rely on it for more than 90% of their income, and nearly half of Americans aged 65 to 74 have no retirement savings at all. And that's not getting any better. So what will it be, people? Are we really going to let the Trump administration and the whole damn group of spineless Republicans cut Social Security like the Republicans are expected to do with Medicaid and SNAP, the food program? Fuck no. Don't kid yourself. If you're thinking that this is impossible, that Trump wouldn't do that, Trump and his clown show are more than capable and willing to throw you and your family and friends under the bus. If it can mean a tax break for a billionaire, if he can use your tax dollars to prop up a risky crypto reserve he just floated, stay strong, America. Jeez, stick together. The oligarchs, the dictator wannabes want you to fight amongst yourself while they run out the back door with all the money and power. You're living in the age of unreason. Good night, and thanks for joining.